Hello everyone, thank you for being here. My name is Deem and today we're going to be talking about shadow work. What is shadow work, and do you need some shadow work? And let's just figure this out together. Alright, so as usual, if you'd like to skip to the summary section or the most important points of this video, then please check it in the description box below or the progress bar below, or you can find all the times around me. And so let's get started. What is shadow work? Well, first of all, what is shadow, or what is the shadow? The shadow is basically all of the aspects, all of the elements in your head, in your consciousness, that you are not even aware that you're having, or all of the psychological elements that you are not aware of. So, for example, you might be an angry person, or someone who feels a lot of guilt on a regular basis, but you don't even recognize that you're having this. And that does not have to be something bad, because people, they have this, it's a myth that people buy into for some reason. They think that shadow work, it has to be something bad, something evil, something you don't want to deal with, right? But guess what? Shadow can be something that is positive as well, because shadow, it can be recognized with people that you either really like or really dislike, right? So if there's someone that you don't like, well then guess what? I mean, you don't like them for some qualities that you don't appreciate, right? But for some reason, the mechanics of it works in this way. So basically, this is something in you that you didn't, that you don't like in yourself, and if you don't process it, if you don't work it out, then you are gonna hate it in other people as well. So basically, other people are like the mirror for you. And also, it works the other way around. So if you like someone, and you just, you know, these types of people that you kind of like, just without any reason to like them. You just see them, and there's something in you that kind of recognizes them, recognizes something in them. So what does that mean? It means that you have the same qualities that you adore in this person. Yes, even if it seems something out like extraordinary, guess what? You have this greatness in you. It's just that it's hidden. That's why it's shadow, right? Shadow work. It's not light, it's not in the light, it's in the shadow, so you cannot see it, it's unconscious. And also, do not think of them as some superior people, for example, right? If you really like them for some qualities that you think that you don't have, don't rush to conclusions and think that you don't have it, because you do have it, and they're not superior. You are able to develop it. So don't worry about this, okay? Alright, so now that we know what is shadow, let's talk about the shadow work. What does that mean? So as children, we are traumatized, quite often traumatized, because most of the shadow is created within the, well, roughly within the first 7 years of our life. And it's basically kind of like this. So you are talking to your parents, for example, or guardians, or whoever was taking care of you for the first 7 years, and they're doing something that for your childish, of course, child mind, it seems traumatic, and it doesn't just seems, but it is traumatic. Even though it's a subjective experience, it's still traumatic, and we don't like these feelings, right? So whenever you start to feel like you are nothing, like you don't deserve something, right? It's not a comfortable feeling. So because of this, our natural inclination is just to just put it aside, right? And not to deal with, and just try to repress these emotions, and somehow believe or hope that they will just go away. And you know what? It kind of works, but exactly that, kind of works. It doesn't work, but it kind of works. And you know, repression, or like repressing your emotions, they kind of work because you don't feel the 100% of an emotion, but you feel maybe 10%, yeah? But it is a continuous process. It's a process that is always there in the background, and that's even worse than feeling it for what, 2 minutes, like fully allowing yourself to feel it for 2 minutes, and then to let it go, then to be with it for basically the rest of your life. Some people have this for their whole life. And so what we gotta do is take this Pandora's box, blow up the dust, right? And then just to open it and start to dig through it and take all of the content out and then process it. Processing is exactly that, shadow work. Shadow, like things that you are not aware of, you're working them out. You are processing them. Right. Shadow work, you can think of this as decluttering of a wardrobe, for example, right? And here's the thing, if you want to create something, if you want to employ, for example, a new habit, if you want to start something new in your life, for example, to wake up at 5 a.m. every single morning, then guess what? If your so-called mind wardrobe is full, you are not going to be able to do this. You're not going to be able because let's say you have 200 points of units, right? 200 units that you can fit in this mind wardrobe, and all of them are full of mostly junk. And if you want to input something new, like the habit of waking up at 5 a.m., that's not going to happen without you first of all decluttering. Yeah, without you cleaning this space first. If it takes, for example, 5 points, then you will have to clean it for 5 points. And then waking up at 5 a.m. is going to work for you. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Because believe me, I tried it. And I tried it for like at least 4 times and it didn't work. Only when I started to seriously work on myself and do this freaking shadow work that I hated, but guess what? I had to go through this, right? When I took responsibility and started doing this intimidating actually work sometimes, well, intimidating in the beginning, but then it's not going to be as bad because you realize how powerful actually you are, and your self-esteem is going to rise up, right? The moment I started doing this, that's when I was able to wake up at 5 a.m. And it wasn't actually hard, to be honest, because the space was there, right? Whereas when you are trying to cram something like this, well, that's exactly that. You're just trying to freaking, shove it there. And that's not going to work. That's not going to work because it's always going to shove it back. Yeah, that's how it works. All right, so moving on, why is it important for us to do this shadow work, this infamous shadow work, right? Well, it's because these repressed emotions that I was talking about, the Pandora's box of your emotions or your beliefs that you don't even know that you have, right? They are basically like a VR set, or basically you can see them as a lens through which you see the world, through which you see people, through which you see situations and circumstances in your life. And this is quite huge because our life is not logical. We think we are logical beings, but no, we're not logical beings. We're more emotional beings. And why so? Because again, roughly for the first 7 years, we're not really, we haven't really developed the critical thinking that we actually need to use with our parents or with whoever was around us for the first 7 years to see, hey, you know what? Maybe my mother, for example, was yelling at me not because I deserved it, or my father was yelling at me not because I deserved it, but because they have some issues, or they're tired, or whatever, right? But you don't have this critical thinking. Because of that, you start to think, oh, well, they are yelling at me because I deserve it. And the child cannot do anything about it, cannot think anything else, unfortunately. And you just take it personally, and then guess what? It just becomes a part of your emotional environment, emotional and mental environment. So logic only develops later on, and guess what? If your initial emotional environment, initial emotions that you've been feeling on a regular basis in your household, in your family, right? If they are negative, for example, then your logic will, guess what, be defending these emotions and rationalizing and trying to protect them and trying to find other people, other situations, and push you actually into doing stuff that will somehow elicit these emotions over and over and over and over freaking again. This is massive, isn't it? And you will make excuses, you will make rationalizations, right? In order just for you to feel comfortable. And whatever you've been exposed to, even though it's uncomfortable, that's still going to be comfortable for you. I know it sounds weird because it's you're comfortable being uncomfortable, but not in a good way. Not in the way that when you're motivated and you're not very comfortable, so you get comfortable with that. But I'm talking about a different one. I'm talking about that, you're getting comfortable being yelled at. You're being comfortable not really respecting yourself, not really respecting your boundaries. You're being comfortable being sad on a regular basis. You're being comfortable thinking that you're nothing. You're being comfortable feeling guilty for no reason, feeling shame just for being yourself. I mean, that's ridiculous, but this is what people are comfortable with sometimes, believe it or not. So again, it's your evaluations, your definitions, your expectations, all of your comparisons, all of your analysis is going to be geared towards making you feel exactly what you've been feeling throughout the first years, if you don't do anything about it. And that's why shadow work is crucial, okay? So if you felt, for example, abandoned or that you're not really wanted as a child, then guess what kind of partners or maybe friends, so-called friends, you're going to be attracting if you don't do anything about it. The same people that will put you, that will make you feel on edge, make you feel anxiety, and not really knowing whether they are going to abandon you or not. You're not going to feel very comfortable with them. But the first time you're going to see them, oh my God, that's going to be the love from the first sight. It's not love from the first sight. It's your wound recognizing their wound, basically, because they also have to have something in order to be attracted to you. Most of the time anyway, because sometimes you might be attracted to a healthy person, but that probably is not going to work out very well, because the wounded people think that healthy people are, guess what, boring. And they're not boring. It's just that they don't entertain the wound of the person, the negative or limiting beliefs that this wounded person has. And because of that, the wounded person thinks, oh, that's not for me. This person, I don't know how, I don't feel this connection. Well, yeah, well, then they're going to find some other wounded person with whom they are going to feel this so-called connection. And then they will see that after 5, 10, 15, sometimes 30 years or 30 plus years, they will understand, wow, that was a big mistake. I don't believe in mistakes, to be honest, but this might really feel in the beginning as if it's a mistake. I believe it's a big lesson, and people need to go through this. If they have a very deep wound, they have to go through this, and there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing you can do about it in the sense that they have to suffer in order to understand that, hey, I have a wound, I have some issues, something that I have to work through. And that's not going to happen overnight, so I have to actually work at it and to find my emotional wounds and to let them go through shadow work. Or if you've been punished as a child for not agreeing with your father or mother, but then they threaten you that they're going to abandon you, then you kind of learn that you should never ever throw tantrums, right? You should never ever disagree with anything. And then guess what? You're going to have a tendency to tolerate pretty much all types of abuse, and they might be violent towards you, they may be cheating, and that's still going to be okay for you because you're afraid that if you don't agree with them, if you just throw a tantrum, so to speak, they will leave you. And this is the thing that you're afraid of most. Or let's say the two people, for example, one person has a wound of not feeling enough, not feeling like they are deserving or worthy of life in general, worthy of love, right? And these two people experience the same setbacks, yeah, something really powerful, like for example, a loss of a loved one, or bankruptcy, or they lose their job, or they're betrayed, or they have an illness, something like that. And then guess what? Just like I was talking about, right? That your logic, or so-called logic, is just, if you're wounded, then your logic is going to be geared towards just protecting whatever emotional environment you had. So the one that gotten used to feeling like they're nothing, like they're not deserving, what they're going to be doing is rationalizing it and saying, well, you know what? This is because I didn't deserve it. It's because this is not for me. Maybe God is punishing me and I'm not going to succeed anyway, so why try? Why bother, right? And maybe I'm not cut out for this and I'm a loser and blah, blah, blah. All of these like avalanche of thoughts, after thoughts, explaining and rationalizing and defending this trauma, basically, right? And the other person, because they don't have this much trauma, they're not going to take it as personally. So their evaluations are going to be completely different. They're going to have a different definition or different meaning assigned to that same setback that they had, right? They're going to have different expectations, or maybe no expectations, right? And they're not going to analyze it in a negative way. And they will say something like, you know what, this does not define me. This setback is not something that is going to destroy me. I'm not going to allow it to just kill me, right? I deserve more. I deserve better. And that has nothing to do with me. I don't have to be a victim here. And I'm not going to be a victim. You see the difference? The difference is massive. And why is it so? Because one person's Pandora's box is just full of a lot of junk. And the other's Pandora's box is perhaps not as full, right? All right, so you might be thinking, okay, shadow work is great, but do I actually really need this? I'm not sure. So actually, I made this short list for you, and let's see if you need it, right? So if you have like some emotional breaks or vibrational breaks, so to speak, that block you from going to the next level. Like, for example, you have low self-esteem, you're not very confident, you have anxiety, you're just stopping yourself, you're self-sabotaging yourself, you're judging yourself for your past mistakes, right? You're comparing yourself to others, you're second-guessing yourself, you're overthinking everything, or even a little bit of overthinking. That's still a little bit of neurosis here. So if you have this, then I would highly recommend you do the shadow work. If you have emotional reactions that you cannot control, they're just basically punching you in the face, and you're just angry all of a sudden, right? Or you're sad, or you have a ton of fear, or for some reason you feel guilty or shame and you don't know why, yeah? And or you might be feeling some type of rage or like revenge, right? Or some type of clinging onto negativity. If you have this, then chances are that there is something out there in the Pandora's box that gets triggered. These are the triggers, right? And they are in the shadow, they are unconscious, and you gotta work through this with shadow work, of course. The next one is if you had a toxic household, if you had a toxic family, even one family member is already enough for you to have plenty of things to work with. In your Pandora's box. So if you felt in your childhood like you're ignored, for example, or you're rejected, or like you're maybe you were made fun of, right? Made fun of your voice, for example, or your body, your character traits, as if you're nothing, or you haven't, you felt like you were not heard, or you've been used, exploited for someone else's status needs, for example, right? Or you have been loved conditionally, which I don't believe there is such a thing as conditional love. And maybe you had some parents with personality disorders, right? If this is the case, then you definitely have work to do, shadow work to do. Next one is when you have over-the-top standards for yourself and for others as well, and for the world, just in general, very super high expectations, impossible expectations, and the expectations or standards that you, of course, are not able to fulfill. This is perfectionism. You're just giving yourself super extra high standard, and of course, you're not going to be able to reach it because it's impossible. And then, but in your head, and because of your wound, you think, no, it's definitely possible. I'm tough. I'm able to go through this. And then guess what? You're not able to do this because you're a human. You're not a robot of perfection. And because this happens, you start to punch yourself emotionally or punch yourself psychologically, right? And you start to hate yourself, to doubt yourself, to judge yourself and think that you're nothing. So it's like a double punishment. So first of all, you give yourself super high plank that you are not able to reach, which is painful. And then you're punching yourself after that. This definitely means that you have a lot of shadow work to do. Or maybe the opposite. Maybe you're not motivated at all. Maybe you're just lazy. You just feel like you don't want to do anything and you're just procrastinating. That's also some type of psychological block there that you got to unblock with the shadow work. Next one is when you're having cycles, which are things that are happening over and over and over again for some reason. And not necessarily things like situations or circumstances, or financial situation, for example, but also people like who are you friends with, who are you having a relationship with, does it seem like you're dating the same person over and over and over again, or having a relationship with the same type of person? I mean, one person in different meat suits, so to speak. If you feel like this is something that's happening in your life, then you definitely need to do some work, some shadow work, and especially if they're toxic. Or for example, when you find yourself in situations and you always for some reason feel left out, or like you're an outsider, or like you have to screw up, like something like everyone has to do it correctly, and not you for some reason. You just feel like you have to be the failure of the group for some reason, right? If this is what you're having, then please consider doing the shadow work, okay? Next one is when people have painful memories or uncomfortable memories, and painful memories associated with people that hurt them. This can be a very deep one, because some people don't even realize how powerful their father or their mother is in their life, because they are influenced by their parents, by their mental, emotional, psychological parents, and even after their mother's or father's death. And they still, like, when they remember their father or mother, they are getting anxious or angry or sad, and they're not able to let them go. So this is definitely something that you don't have to go through. We're not built, we're not designed to be suffering all the time. It's not what we're supposed to do. It's not mandatory, okay? And you can let go of this suffering with, again, shadow work. I know I'm repeating myself, but this is really, really, really important, okay? which is a great excuse to over repeat myself. Right, so next one is the seventh, overcommitting yourself to others, like when you're doing too much for other people at the same time forgetting about yourself. This is also a big one for a lot of specifically people who identify as empaths, right? So they are people pleasing others quite often for protection, because they think, oh, if I'm gonna people please, right? If I'm gonna do exactly what they want me to do, they're not gonna attack me. And but they don't even want to admit this, but quite often this is the case, at least in my practice, working with people. And so they find their worth in only when they're helping others, only when they're in service. Nothing wrong with helping people or being of service, right? But it's not really good when this is the reason you think you are worthy, right? There's a big difference between just helping people or between basically letting it dominate how you see yourself. This is not healthy, and it's not supposed to be like this. You're supposed to see yourself already as a worthy human being, and if out of that state, if you want to help others, great. If you don't, that's okay. Nobody is obligating you or making it mandatory for you to go there and sacrifice everything just for others and just be a martyr or something like that, right? And also, if you're afraid of disapproval and you're craving their attention or the attention of others because you didn't have enough attention when you were growing up as a child, then this is also a sign of trauma, and you want to just let it go. You don't have, this is not your character trait, okay? This is just a wound that is possible to heal, and then it's going to go away, and then it's not going to be your character trait anymore. Like if other people told you, oh, you know, Sarah or John is the type of person who's given everything to other people. No, Sarah and John is not that type of person, and never was. It's just that they were wounded so much that they could not have done this, right? This is something, it's like a program that they cannot control, and they have to do this because otherwise they're not going to think of themselves as a worthy human being. But that's not them. That's not their character trait, and you can definitely let it go with shadow work. And the last point of this list is if you find yourself wanting to control everything, then that's definitely a sign that you need to do some work, because otherwise you're not going to have a good life, because you're going to be always suffering because you want to control everything, but you're not able to control everything because you were not designed to control everything. And people that are happy in life, they don't try to dominate life, right? To overpower, overthrow life, right? Or fight with it and win the championship between you and life. No, it's not that. They're not fighting with life. Actually, the opposite. They are collaborating with life. They're helping life. They are co-creating with life. They're being friends with life, right? They're like family friends and the closest friends that they can be with life. And that makes them feel like they belong, and they don't have to work so hard, and they don't have to do everything by themselves. It's the ego that tells you that you have to do everything by yourself. But life has a special plan for you, specifically for you. And it can, and it wants to help you if you let it. That's the key. You have to let it. And for that, you have to let go of controlling. Here's the thing. And I know it's going to sound weird, but just actually investigate what I'm going to tell you right now. If you try to have control, and you're holding on to this expectation that I have to have control, that's when you have least control. When you, however, let go of this clinging towards having control, that's when you have more control of it. Just investigate this statement and see for yourself. I bet you will start to feel better when you don't control everything, and allow life to sometimes take the driver's seat, right? Even though she or it is always in the driving seat, okay? You can do this and you will understand this just by doing shadow work. All right, so now what are the consequences of doing the shadow work for a prolonged period of time? What's going to happen? What can you expect out of it? Well, you're going to have a life without triggers, or when you're going to have these triggers, you're going to know how to deal with them, and they will just get flushed away a lot faster. And they will, for example, something that used to take you, I don't know, maybe like a week to process and forget, now it's going to take you less than 7 minutes, for example. How about that? Is that something that you'd like to know how to do? Right. And it also develops your readiness, right? You become ready or prepared to get awakened. And by awakening, I don't mean the esoteric awakening, even though that one is important too and great as well. Esoteric awakening is when, I mean, from my point of view, is when you start to have paranormal abilities, like starting to see auras or feel different energies, or you're able to predict future or different things. Different people have their own abilities. But I'm not talking about this type of spiritual awakening. What I'm talking about is the one that Eckhart Tolle or Sadhguru, for example, is referring to, is when you stop definitely identifying with your ego, which is a mistake, basically. I mean, the ego is a mistake. The ego is basically you thinking that thoughts are yours, that you are thinking your thoughts, or that even you are feeling your feelings, or you're feeling or sensing your sensations, right? But that is not so, and I know it sounds super crazy, but that is only visible or feelable with practice. But in order to do this, first you got to declutter your system in order to get ready for this type of work, for awakening type of work, right? And that's why shadow work is fantastic. And that's the path towards freedom. All right, so thank you very much for watching this. And now if you got interested in maybe knowing more about shadow work, and maybe you'd like to even give it a try, then I invite you to have free sessions with me. I'm actually offering 3 free sessions, and every single session is one-on-one session. And each of them is 1 hour and a half. And so you're going to have 4 hours and a half of shadow work, if this is something interesting for you. And on the first session, I find your values, which is your GPS system, which is the mechanism that is allowing you to go exactly where you're going. And we're going to see what is important to you, and what is the thing that is standing in your way, which is shadow aspects, and the content from your Pandora's box. And I'm going to show you different methods, different techniques to be able to let it go by yourself. These are going to be like within 3 sessions. I'm usually able to give maybe 3 to 4 powerful techniques. It depends, of course, upon your particular situation. But usually it's going to be 3 to 4 techniques. And you're going to be able to use them by yourself whenever you want, all day, every day if you want. If you are able to do this, because this is a lot of work. This is serious work. I'm looking for only committed people that really want to take their life to the next level. And if this sounds like something interesting and something that you'd like to give it a try, then I invite you to have sessions with me. Alright, so thank you very much for watching this video. I hope this was informative, and I hope you got inspired to start to declutter your system, to clean your pipes, basically, so to speak, pipes between you and the version of you that you always wanted to be. Yeah? And if you like this video, please give it a like and consider subscribing for more videos like this. And if you think that this video is or can be helpful to someone that you know, someone that you care about, you can send them this video. And if you have any questions or maybe suggestions, please leave a comment down below. And this is it. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. And till next time, here is the summary and have a good day. Bye.